Good morning, VC. Today I want to talk about the three-cornered hat, the Sombrero de Tres Picos by Manuel de Falla. One of my all-time favorite pieces. I have a few versions that I've been listening to and comparing, and it's been really great to just put them on one after the other and go back and forth. It's a ballet. It was commissioned by Diaghilev and premiered in 1919. Conducted by Anserme, and the costumes and the set designs were done by Pablo Picasso, and those are also super beautiful. I love Picasso. I've loved Picasso since I was like 4 years old. And it's written in 8 sections. There is a soprano in there, but it's very quick. They just sort of do a couple little parts. There's lots of percussion. Very Spanish, very flamenco. Doesn't sound like most other ballets, obviously, because it's Spanish. And there are parts of it or suites from it on a lot of other albums and some kind of audiophile classics, like this one, this Reiner, Spain. It's an incredible sounding album. This has, I think, only one suite from the ending on it. I'm personally not a fan of compilation albums. I like to hear complete performances of whatever it is, symphonies or ballets or whatever. But this is a really good compilation. This is another compilation which has 3 dances from the Three-Cornered Hat, and it also has Ravel, Bolero, and Alvarado del Gracioso. This is a pretty hard to find, very early Decca. This is SXL 2105, conducted by Wolf, Paris Conservatoire Orchestra. I do not know much about Wolf. I do not have many of his recordings. This sounds really great. This was also put out later as a Stereo Treasury Series record. This record has one of the suites on it. This is Loren Mazel Cleveland Orchestra direct from Cleveland. This is a Telarc direct-to-disc record, and this also has Bizet, Tchaikovsky, Berlioz. Really awesome sounding record, but again, just sort of highlights from longer pieces, kind of classic audiophile sections. Really fantastic sounding album though. This next record, this is London CS 6050. This one has one whole side of all of the dances from Three-Cornered Hat, and this is Atulfo Argenta. Kind of hard to find, London. Really nice sounding, not as great sounding as the next 3 that I'm going to get into in more depth, but really great album. And then the B-side is Turina's Sinfonia Sevillana, also really amazing Spanish piece, also really nice blue back, great record. So those are the versions that I have. I might even have a couple more that just have highlights from the Three-Cornered Hat. The first one that I want to talk about really is probably the most popular one that you see the most. This is Anserme with the Orchestra Suisse Romande. The soprano is Teresa Berganza, and this is the London version. This is an ORG version on double 45. Sounds absolutely fantastic, has that classic Decca string tone. Horns are like beautiful and blaring. It's interesting also that in the beginning on this version the soprano is very far back and distant, which really opens up kind of the illusion of the sound stage. Like you have people chanting in the front and drums, and then kind of coming from back here is the soprano singing. And I would say sonically this is a killer record. As far as the performance goes, I'm not a huge fan of the performance. I feel like this particular album, to me, it sounds more like an ensemble ballet than it sounds like Falla. It's definitely not as Spanish sounding. It's definitely kind of smoothed out dynamically, and also, how would I say, like there's some sections where there's nice hits and staccato punches of instruments and percussion, and on this one it might kind of just go boom, but on the versions that I really like, those sections really are like bam, they crack and they come out, and it's aggressive, you know, it's a very flamenco, passionate, aggressive piece. And this one, for lack of a better description, kind of sounds like it's conducted by an old white guy. The next version is by Enrique Jorda with the London Symphony Orchestra. Barbara Howitt is the soloist, and this is one of the Everest 35mm film recordings. This was done by Classic Records, and I really can't wait to hear the Analog Productions version of this. You know, they just released 10 of the Everest titles. I have a few of them I ordered right when they came out. Those reviews are coming very soon. And this sounds fantastic. And the performance by Jorda is really, it is more Spanish for sure. It sounds more authentic. This album soundstage is wide and it's deep, and you can really hear everything that's going on. And one thing I would mention about this is it is done with a full-size orchestra, but the entire orchestra doesn't really come in until the very end, till the finale. So most of the beginning parts of this are very chamber-like, but, you know, super sparse also, which I love, being able to hear just little sections of instruments so clearly and so well defined in space and in time. And then again, the whole orchestra comes in at the ending during the dance, the final dance. I'm not going to get into like the story of it and the magistrate and the wife, and if you want to look up the story of the ballet, you can. But that's not why I listened to this record. But so anyhow, the analog production version I'm sure will be amazing, because of the albums that I have already, I had Classic Records versions of them and I had originals, and the analog production double 45 version of it just like blows all other versions out of the water. It's really, really amazing sounding. And so this one, this is my second favorite version of this. Highly, highly recommend it. You could wait till it gets released on Analog Productions or this Classic Records. Sounds great. Super fiery version. Love it. And my favorite version of this one is the one Philharmonia Orchestra, Rafael Frubeck de Burgos with Victoria de Los Angeles as the soprano. This is on EMI. This is actually an alto high fidelity repress of the original EMI. And this is one of the ones I got from Michael Hobson. Let's just say he says top recommendation, 2 wows, and she's right about that. This version has all of the beautiful sonics and audiophile things that the other two have. It sounds different than the London or the Decca version. It has more of that EMI sound, which the more I really listen to EMI, early EMI pressings over and over and over, the more I like it better than kind of being right up in the orchestra. I like better now being back a little bit and having more of like a wide soundscape of it. And this version sonically is so crisp and so sharp, and the tempo is quicker than either of the other two, and it's a fierce version. I mean, this one, you know, in flamenco music there is a term called duende, and this one has the duende. This one is like, it's so passionate, it's so fiery, super romantic. Even the singing is better, I think maybe because Victoria de Los Angeles just fits the role better. The castanets seem like they're played better. Everything seems like it's played better and just more traditional to the origin of where it's from and when it's from. This one definitely sounds like a flamenco ballet. So beautiful. I couldn't recommend this any higher. You can get this alto version for, I mean, you'll pay some money for it, but it's available. The original probably just costs a fortune. So yeah, it was interesting. I was just talking to someone the other day about a recording of this because the Analog Productions ones were coming out, so I pulled out that Classic Records version and listened to it, and I thought, wow, this sounds better than I remember it sounding. And then I just started pulling out other versions. So this really wasn't something that I was like really planning on doing a full review of or anything, or comparison. These are just like very quick comparison of 3 versions I have of the full ballet. Beautiful, beautiful piece of music, so passionate, so great. The very finale, I wish it ended sort of in a more minor, fiery way, but it kind of ends with almost a more traditional ballet waltz kind of a situation. But killer record. I would get this one if you really want to hear a great version of it. And that's that. And I'm listening through to those Everest 45s from Analog Productions, and those reviews will be coming in the next few days or so. One of them I'm doing is it's a long piece, and I also have about 10 versions of it with 10 different soloists, so it takes a lot of listening to get through all that. But I'll be back in a few days with those. All right, bye-bye.